the cup and the league all to be won. Everyone knows there's a job to be done, and with a team so fine, I'm proud they're mine. We'll be singing this song. For real bars of family athletic, and now we are on song. For real bars of family athletic, and we'll go marching on.
The Dunfermline Athletic Former Players Association podcast is sponsored by Starnut Apparel. Affordable and stylish clothing born on the terraces. Just head to www.starnutapparel.co.uk.
Welcome to a journey down memory lane that's sure to ignite your passion for the club we all adore. This is Walking Down Holbeath Road, the podcast that reunites us with the legends who once graced the pitch at East End Park. I'm your host, Mikey Motkiewicz, and I invite you to lace up your virtual boots as we step onto the hallowed turf of Dunfermline Athletics history. This podcast is your ultimate destination for all things Dunfermline Athletic former players, and we'll be sitting down with the heroes who made our dreams come true, scored unforgettable goals, and carved their names into the hearts of Par supporters. Each episode will deep dive into the stories that shaped their careers, from their early days to the highs and lows of football. From promotion battles to cup triumphs, these players have witnessed it all, and now they're ready to share their memories, dressing room tales, and all their insights with you. In this episode, we speak to former assistant manager Gregor Abel, who played a vital role in the club's meteoric rise from the second division to the Premier League under Jim Leishman in the 1980s. Gregor started his playing career with local team Falkirk in 1966 before having his most successful spell with Clydebank in the 1970s. After his playing career, he moved into coaching, whilst upholding his full-time job as a principal PE teacher. In this episode, we hear all about Gregor's career in the game, his views on modern-day football, and of course his memories from his time at East End Park. So sit back, relax, as we walk down the Holbeath Road with Gregor Abel. Gregor, thanks very much for joining us on the latest podcast. How's life?
Life's treating me, as somebody says, how's life treating you? I say, no often enough. I have to pay sometimes.
You've got a good life out here looking out to the River Forth, haven't you? So
yeah,
nice and peaceful.
We're lucky here. Yep.
Good man. Right, I'm going to ask you 5 questions to get us going. So you've got £1 for a jukebox. You can pick 3 of your favourite songs. What songs are they?
My first song that I ever bought was, believe it or not, was Roy Orbison's Only the Lonely. That was the first record I bought. So that's, and Cliff Richard and I have got, what would you say, record rights over Travelling Light, which is one of my songs. If you asked me to go out and sing them, I would give you Travelling Light.
Nice.
And The Old Town Looks the Same, old Tom Jones.
Superb, good choices. Your Dunfermline song not making that through, no?
I didn't quite make it now, but it's still in the charts.
Oh. We'll touch on that in a wee while. Next question. Your favourite game of football you've ever watched, either on the telly or in person?
And that's actually the one that sticks in my memory, and I had the privilege of going to, was the Real Madrid Eintracht European Cup final at Hampden, where Real Madrid beat Eintracht 6-3, or is it 7-3? I can't remember. But yeah, that was a special occasion for me being at that one, really, for as a young laddie getting taken there. But another one, my father took me through to Easter Road to watch Hibs in Barcelona, and the time that they drew 2 each at Easter Road, and there was nearly a riot at the end. The referee had to run off the field because he had given a penalty to Hibs late on, and it affected the game. Believe it or not, Hibs drew 4 each with Hibs, with Barcelona in Barcelona at the Old Camp.
Right.
No, the new camp.
No.
The old camp. It was before the... And the reason I know that is Jim Scott, ex-Hibs player, he's a good friend of mine, and he related that story to me about playing it over... Because he played it over in Barcelona. Anyway.
Superb. 2 good games there.
Yeah.
What's your favourite meal?
Favourite meal? It used to be steaks, but basically a salmon dish is... I would be quite happy with something of that nature.
Nice and healthy.
Yeah.
Question 4. Who's the best player you coached?
Coached. There's a thing. Who did the best play? I had young lads at when I was with Aberdeen and Rangers. I had Charlie Adams, and Charlie was a smashing bloke, both nature-wise or whatever, and a lovely player, and did well for himself one way or another. I would say I've played with a few and worked with a few, but and played against a few, but Charlie was a wee bit special for me. You could see that early on in his career.
Question 5. Your favourite holiday destination?
Oh, there you go. It used to be... Actually, I had a timeshare out in Tenerife, and we used to go back there a few times, and one year I tried to sell it. I couldn't sell it, so I got another one. So I had a month out in Tenerife, and I think that would probably be my favourite destination. Although... my whole family are Disney daft, and the number of times we've been to Disney, and my daughter worked. She was one of the Pooh. She was one of the Pooh out in Disney. We used to go out and see her, and so probably a wee bit correction. Yeah, Disney.
Disney.
In Orlando.
It costs a few quid, doesn't it? I was there last year in France. The man
Right.
too.
Actually, my granddaughter's going out there next week, in 2 weeks' time, for a dancing thing from her school, or school of dance, and they're actually in the parade out in Paris.
Superb. What an experience.
Absolutely.
So we'll go back to April 1949, born in Falkirk. So tell us a little bit about your childhood and your early memories of football.
Yeah, as you said, where I'm sitting here just now, I'm looking across the Forth to Falkirk, and it's where I was born and brought up. My father was a keen Falkirk supporter, so I was brought up by going to watch Falkirk most weeks, and I actually got to the cup final. I got to the replay of the cup final in 1957, where Falkirk beat Kilmarnock in the Scottish Cup. So that was a big memory for me at that age, getting through to watch the cup final and watch the bus coming into Falkirk later on, because you hadn't any motorways in these days, and it came back with the cup at night. It was brilliant.
Amazing. Who was your hero growing up?
Well, it was of that Falkirk team. Well, no, he wasn't in that team actually, but my hero at Falkirk at the time was the late John White, the one that went to Tottenham Hotspur, and I thought he was absolutely marvellous, you know. So he would be my hero at that time at Falkirk, you know.
Brilliant. And what about in terms of playing football? What was kind of your pathway as a kid?
I was discussing this earlier. Went through. It was mostly school football into boys' club football. I was fortunate to be chosen for the Scottish Schools under-18 side with Louis Macari. In actual fact, I played my first international was at Brockville, of all things, at Falkirk, so in front of my home crowd, and I scored the opening goal, which is unbelievable as well, but it was a big experience for me there. From there, I was invited to, a few clubs, and because of your situation and high profile with the international, but I decided... my folks wouldn't allow me to leave school until I got my hires, so I decided at that point that I would try and train as a PE teacher. So I've signed with the local club Falkirk, and it worked out quite well for me. I managed to, and this is something that I was hoping to make my debut against Dunfermline in the last game of the season in 1967 or 68, but I was an unnamed substitute and I never got on, so I nearly made my debut at Dunfermline, but I was disappointed not to.
What was it like playing for your boyhood heroes?
It was it was a bit strange at first going in and training with them, having worked with them, because I was just a young laddie. But you were made in any dressing room. Football it's universal. You get stick whatever you do, and you get played a lot of fun, and you're accepted quite easily.
Yeah. What's your memories of the rivalry with Dunfermline?
Actually, the rivalry with Dunfermline didn't really exist when I was there. I mean, I ended up, I came to Dunfermline with Jim phoned me up just after I'd been, inverted commas, sacked at Falkirk, and it didn't raise an eyebrow. It wasn't a problem. But that happened now, it would be...
That's totally different now, eh?
Completely different. And unfortunately, from that point of view. But in these days, there was nothing undue about it at all,
Yeah. What was your memories of Dunfermline during that time when you were at Falkirk?
Sorry?
What was your memories of the Dunfermline side during that time?
Well, that was the Dunfermline side that won the Scottish Cup and did well in Europe. In fact, my father took me through to Dunfermline. I remember going and watching them against Uspes Doza at Dunfermline. So as a young laddie, I was involved with, but Dunfermline were a club that were in Europe and high profile, and were really done well when I was a young laddie,
Yeah, they were flying during that decade, eh? You made 82 appearances for Falkirk, and there was a few former Pars players during your time. A certain Sir Alex Ferguson and the manager Willie Cunningham. So what's your memories of these guys?
Alec came to us from Rangers, and it was a big signing for Falkirk at the time, and he was a big influence in the dressing room. He was the union rep, as you can imagine there. But I can remember an instance where he had me with the collar, and I was shit scared of him actually. He had me with the collar and says, "Get that fucking winger sorted out," And but that was typically Alec. Willie Cunningham again, who's a legend at Dunfermline. I remember I wasn't getting a regular game as I thought I should have been doing, and one of my mates says, "Go in and see him, go and talk to him." So I kind of knocked on the door. I was a wee bit scared. I walked in. Says, "Boss, I'm no happy. I'm going to a game. I want away." And he just looked at me and says, "Who the fuck's going to buy you away?" So I had to go out with my tail between my legs and what have you.
Probably the high point when you're at Falkirk. You won the second division, 69-70.
Yeah.
So did you play a big part in that?
I think I played most of the games in that season. Yeah, it was a good, brilliant season and the season after it, going into the first division, into the well, there was only two divisions then, but going into the top league, we were lying fourth or fifth at one point in the season, having played particularly well, and I really thoroughly enjoyed that time in the club.
Brilliant. And then come 1972, your most prolific club in your career, Clydebank, come calling. So tell us how about you joining Clydebank.
Yeah, I was released at Falkirk, and they phoned us up with Andy Roxburgh was with us at Falkirk at the time, and he was going to Clydebank. The Steedman brothers who ran it were related to Andy, but Andy was going through, and that was a wee bit one of the reasons possibly I went through. So I just discovered last week there, my first game for Clydebank was against Rangers at Ibrox. So that was my debut time. So, but at that time, Clydebank were struggling. Team away down at the bottom of the league, so to speak, and it was the 8 years I had there, which is, I think I played 320 games according to the stats, and it was a really opening. We're playing with players like Davy Cooper, Frank McDougall, John McCormack. These are all boys that came through the Clydebank squad, and we did particularly well getting into the Premier League, etc.
You mentioned a legend there, Davy Cooper. What was he like?
I can remember the first game he came. He wasn't a young laddie when he came to us. He was 18, and clubs had been desperate to get him, and the Steedmans invited him through to Clydebank, and they worked on him, and he played a trial game for us on the Wednesday. It was a Wednesday night, and I'm playing left back. Davy Cooper's outside left sort of thing. And it's the only time I ever remember. The manager was Bill Monroe at the time, and I came in at half time, and I was saying to Bill, we'll have to sign this, we'll have to sign him. And because you could see that there was a bit of magic about him that no other player that I can remember had with him. You know, absolutely delightful player to play with or play and watch him play, because that's what it was all about, you know.
Brilliant. And I'm right in saying you won successive promotions.
Yeah.
For the first time in your career at Clydebank.
That's right. We went from eventually we went from the third division, second division, and up to the Premier League eventually. So it was quite a nice time to be there.
Brilliant. What's your memories of the old Kilbowie Stadium?
It was the first all-seated stadium in Scotland. But I think most people remember it with the bar was at the back of the goal, and players, when they're having their warm-ups, were watching the drinkers duck every time the ball hit the window. It was a good time, yeah.
Brilliant. And then 1980, you left Clydebank, you went to Alloa Athletic, where you made 25 appearances.
Yeah. But
you started your coaching path by this point.
Well, I got transferred. It was Christmas time at Clyde at 1979. It would be Christmas 79. We went to a club dance up in Paisley, and as you know, I was apt to go and do wee songs now and again. So I was in dispute, and I went up and said, "Please release me, let me go." And I came off the stage, and Jack Steedman says, "Gregor, Alloa are interested, you can go."
Brilliant.
So it's true. So I went to Alloa, and Hugh Wilson was manager then, but a couple of months into my time there, Hugh got sacked, or he resigned, and Alec Totten took over as manager, and Alec asked me if I would come and be his player coach at the time. So it was a good transition from being a player to coaching, and I was able to walk into that one, you know.
Did you always want to be a coach?
Not really, I never gave it any thought. But the fact that I trained as a PE teacher, it always helped when these things, you know.
Yeah. And then October 1980, you finished playing, you just focus on coaching. So just rounding up your time as a player, who would you say was the best player you played against during your career?
I think Kenny Dalglish. I can still remember that backside backing into me and turning me at one of the games at Parkhead, and the goal was used as the goal of the season that year, and it was lovely to watch.
Right. Good choice, though.
Yeah,
he done all right for himself. Who's the best player you played with?
I think I've mentioned it before, Davy Cooper. He was magic, and the thing is, even at training, it was quite funny that setting up for shooting practices, they had to set it up to his left foot, because if it came to his right, he just ignored it. He didn't even want to know about it. But it was a magic left foot he had, so it was from there, you know.
Right. Any games that stand out during your playing career?
There was one. It's not so much a game. With Clydebank in the League Cup, we were drawn against Rangers, and in these days we had to play on the Wednesday. First game we drew. It was a home and away game with them. So we drew with them at Kilbowie. Then we went to Ibrox the following week, but they didn't have penalty shootouts or anything like that. It went to extra time, and there wasn't a decision made, so it was put back on to the Monday. So we had to play them on the Monday night at Ibrox, and again it went to extra time, and it wasn't decided. And the game then went to Firhill on the Tuesday, and eventually the Rangers won it. So there were 4 games against the Rangers in 1 week, and as a school teacher, we're having to deal with the 4th-year girls who no more wanted to be with me than fleeing in the air, and I'm having to prepare myself for the games at night. I was one of the only part-timers at Clydebank by that time, and the Tuesday game they met at the Pond Hotel, and they had a lie about, and I'm teaching bloody, but it was a special having the 4 games like that against the Rangers.
Yeah.
You know,
you mentioned obviously you had a full-time job as a teacher. How did you cope with 2 different worlds, really, like having a full-time job and then playing Premier League football, really.
Yeah, it was really time consuming, and it didn't do my, especially the management side of it, when I was managing at Falkirk, trying to do a full-time teaching job and a full-time manager job. It didn't marry itself, and it was time management was partly the problem, but again, you didn't see your family growing up, and it was one of the deciding factors eventually that to stop with my football so that I could go and do things with my family, you know.
Yeah, and you mentioned Falkirk there. You go back to Falkirk in 1982, joining Alex Totten. So what was your wee spell like there?
Well, it was quite successful in the sense that initially we'd had a few good results. We signed with Kevin McAllister, who was a lovely wee player, etc. And we got a lot of success. Then Alec, because it was successful, he was attracting attention for other clubs, and I think Motherwell came from. Then, of course, Rangers came in, and there was no problem there. He was going to go there, and I was thrown into the management job too early. I wasn't really ready for it, but I decided I took the chance, and I think that was my worst time as far as teaching and trying to do the two jobs, you know. I remember though, my son would be about 12-year-old, and we just came in, had a bad result. I can't remember who we were playing, so I walked into the house, threw my coat down and what have you, and my son chanting through from the back, "Abel must go." I says, when you're getting that kind of stick for your son.
What did you learn most about yourself as a coach at that time?
Well, Alec immediately gave me the role as player coach, and I was basically trying to keep myself fit and coach at the same time, and that wasn't the ideal. In actual fact, I retired when my last game was at Hampden against Queen's Park. Alan Irvine, I don't know if you remember, the ex Everton winger,
He moved
manager,
coaching, didn't he?
He was giving me a roasting, and I wasn't as fit as I should be. And I can still remember about 15 minutes to go, I went down injured, and the physio came running on, Fred Ray. He says, "Gregor, what's wrong?" I said, "Fred, just rub something, I'm fucked." So that was my decision to get. So rather than somebody telling me to give up, I was able to make the decision there, and that was quite nice, you know.
So by February 1984, you make a really good move in your career. You joined Dunfermline Athletic, and by this point, I'm going to introduce Mr. Jim Leishman into the podcast to talk a wee bit about this time. So, Gregor, from your point of view, what do you remember about how the move come about?
Well, I'd just been released at Falkirk, which was a surprise, and it was 3 days after I'd been released, I got a phone call for Jim to ask if I would come and help him out, because he had been just recently appointed as manager at Dunfermline, and he was looking for someone to give him a hand, etc. from there, and I was delighted to be taken, if you like, off the shelf immediately and through to Dunfermline, and it was one of the best moves I've ever made, actually, football, because it was one of the most enjoyable times I've had it in football, is working with Jim and experiencing the events through that time that we had, you know.
We'll cover plenty of that. Jim, from your point of view, what's your memories of bringing Gregor in?
Well, I was only 29-year-old, and I'd given a guy called Bill Baxter for Kearney Hall an opportunity to become the assistant. But very quickly I found out that Bill was too similar to me. You know, his first training, right lads, run to the end of the park and come back. You know, and I could have done that. So I needed somebody that was a good coach, that enjoyed the coaching. And right after that, I said to Bill Baxter, "Look, Bill, it's not going to work out." And the following week, that's when I asked Gregor to come in. I think, for me, right away, I liked Gregory. I liked him. I didn't really know him as a player, because I'd stopped playing because of my injuries now, and Gregor was playing at Clydebank and whatever, and the assistant with Alec Totten. But right away, I liked him. When he come in, we had a chat. He had this enthusiasm. That was the false saying, was this, and I felt that this guy's really want to give it a go, and come, because I needed somebody like a Gregor Abel, to go out in the bar and coach, because that was the man. Gregor was in charge of that. I was like I could have took Tuesday and Thursday off if I wanted. Because Gregor he took charge of all that, and I appreciated that. Then I did what I thought I was good at, and we combined the two strengths, and it worked for me.
What was the club like at this point, February '84?
I had no money, did it? It was quite. This is a wee story that Jim. We decided at the end of that first season, no money, but we'd take the players for a wee training get together at Dunblane Hydro. So we took them up. Jim will be laughing at this. We took them up there, and Jim had them in the room at the place, and he says, "Right, lads," he says, "this is what we're doing." We say, "Well, we're going to train this morning. We're going to train this afternoon. We'll give you a night out tonight. You could go to Rainbow Rocks or whatever, and then we'll do the same on Sunday." And he said, "And these days they got their wage packet every week." And Jim says, "Right, here are their wages," and he handed out the wage packets. And he says, "Right, give me them back in, because that's paying for your weekend." And we got away with it.
The players had to pay for it. And then the following year, when we started getting successful, that was a great time doing it. Gullen, mate.
Gullen, yeah, that's right.
Was in the morning, Gregor, he did a wee bit of training, and then with a game, the two teams, and then the players went golfing in the afternoon. And then I can remember, I didn't know if you remember, Gregor, we were staying at the Rainbow Hotel or something.
The golf hotel.
The golf hotel, Gregor.
In Gullen,
Gullen. And I'm getting this stuff. Right, lads, look, we're representing Dunfermline Athletic here. This is big Watson and McCarthy and them all. And I says, "Now, you're going out. I'm not wanting any reports, that no nonsense. Just go and enjoy yourself, and we've got a hard day doing it then Murder Hill the next morning before we go home." So that was it. I was fair chuffed. I've done my talk, and the boys are. Well, me and Gregor and Ivor Phillison, he was the scout, the Edinburgh scout team. We're walking along Gullen High Street, and there were two big bums at the window. John Watson and Nora McCarthy gave me a mooney at the restaurant at the two big nurseries. You made that? And I'm like this. I've gone. Gregor says, "They're all right. They're just about firearms going to go killing them, eh?" And that was it. We had a great time.
We tried to get them up in the morning for their breakfast, and we hadn't we thought we had the hotel to ourselves, and then these Americans who had been on, "What's happening?"
What's these guys? But I think that was the start, Gregory, that year. We really started to kick off, and you brought the Davy Youngs in. Paul Rogers, Paul Rogers?
Yeah, that's right.
Centre half, he was all right, got injured.
But there was a few came in and went out at that time.
Who were the key players at that time for you guys in the early days?
Well, the Norrie McCarthy, Norrie, you could have built a team round, and we did basically build a team round him. John Watson came to the fore. Jim gave him a chance. He had just come back from Hong Kong and that, and he hadn't really had any playing experience, but he fitted in really well. Ian McCall, we signed him. Well, that was a wee bit later actually. He came
was the next season, Gregor.
He came for Queen's Park and that one. But no, it was. I tell you, one player who did particularly well for us, and he passed away. With Gary Thompson.
Great.
Gary did really well, and that was a big tragedy hearing about his demise, if you like,
$5,000 I paid for him, Gregor. £5,000 for Arlo. Because mind, you and I's first full season. The last game of the season, we were playing Berwick. And we won 4-0, Trevor Smith hat-trick. And we thought Arlo had got beat.
That's right. It was like getting a Christmas present and getting it taken away from you. We thought we'd got promotion and we'd missed out, but Arlo had got the league win.
Gary Thompson scored the goal.
But I'd been at Alloa with Alec Totten, and we signed Gary from Falkirk at that time. He had been at Falkirk, and we took
No,
him
it's
to
not the Alloa again. It was Alloa.
Aye, but we
Oh,
took
you
him
had.
to-
Sorry.
we took him to Alloa.
Aye, right, okay.
But he was a smashing.
Great attitude.
He had calves that were unbelievable. They were like my thighs, you know. And what it was, he was a roofer, and it was obviously the building up, and that's what actually he died. He got blown off a roof tenement in Glasgow. Absolutely sad, you know.
Sad. We finished third that 84-85 season.
Stevie Morrison had missed a penalty the week before. Late on, 88th minute or something, Stevie went up for a penalty. At Alloa, we're playing Alloa, and he missed a penalty.
That's right.
And then that changed it. We had to win the last game, and Alloa had to get beaten. We thought that was what it was.
But we thought we'd won it. We've got, and then the news came through that it had gone the other way. And it really was. It was like getting a Christmas present and get taken away from you.
It'd be so different in those days without phones and internet, like
right.
to hear other results.
It was on the
hard,
radio.
eh?
It was on the radio.
Aye.
But see, when I look back on that, I don't know your feeling, Gregor, but I was glad that we didn't do it that game.
Probably weren't ready for it, yeah.
And then we started adding during the season again.
Yeah.
We brought boys. We got boys in, and the next year we were really strong. Eh?
Well, the next year, 85-86, the centenary year.
Aye.
So we start off, we have a game against Aberdeen. What's
That's
your
right.
memories of that one?
That was, I haven't got a, no, it's in the next room there. It was a centenary year, and they came as, so we got a clock or something like that. For
good boy.
Aye, that's what I was going to say. It's through the Aberdeen. There was something else we got. I've got a centenary. It's maybe
Aberdeen was just won the European Cup winners, didn't
you
they?
know.
Season before.
I'll tell you a story, Gregor. You know, I never really spoke about this, but when I phoned Alec Ferguson, because the history of Alec Ferguson and Dunfermline, I phoned him up, and at that time it was Mr. Ferguson. You would say, look, we've got a centenary game, would you do us the honour of bringing Aberdeen down? And he looked at the date and says, right, and he gave us the date. Was it a midweek game, Greg?
Aye, it was.
Right.
It was middle of the week.
And he says, I'll come down. I says, what do we need to do? Do you want half the gate or what? Pay our bus and get us a pre-match meal at the Pit Bockley. That's all. And I'm still waiting on the money, the bill for the bus, and I'm still waiting the bill for the Pit Bockley.
They didn't.
He never charged us.
Good. That was good.
And the goal, can you mind the goal?
No, my memories.
Is it Ian Heather? The ball was played up to Big John Watson, and he held it in, and he passed it back to Stevie Morrison, and the outside of his foot, Stevie played it into the box. Ian Heather brought it down with his left foot and followed it in with his right foot. Wasn't that unbelievable? It was a great goal. It was a great goal.
Yeah, especially Ian was all left foot.
All left foot, and he was. I was like, we'll get gone 6-1. But no, it was great, eh?
1-1-0, didn't we?
1-1-0.
Aye.
And that, I think, that is when I started believing, hey, we've got a chance here, Greg. We've got a chance of doing all
It was a
right.
good catalyst for
To build on, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's your memories of the EastEnders record? Let's talk a wee bit about that season.
Well, basically, Blair Morgan. Oh, sorry.
Aye.
He had, with the centenary year, had decided that the EastEnders tune, because we play East End Park, he put words to it. So that was the famous one where we went through and made the record through at Rebel Studios in Edinburgh. And went to go and launch it there at Pebble Mill, and that's where Jim came. We did it. We all had song sheets, so but we were told that we were going to have to sing it live down at Pebble Mill. So we goes in the bus going down on the Wednesday. We're going to do it, and this is where Jim says, right, this is a story here. He says, if we get the words off the part by the time we get to Carlisle, well, I've got a porno movie for you, which the boys were. So the rehearsing going down in the boys from East End Park, and we basically we had it off part by Echo Fashion. So the boys
were trying like hell.
So
that was funny, yeah.
The whole experience down there was brilliant, actually, you know.
And you're speaking earlier off, Mike, about training at Aston Villa's training ground. So what was the memories with that?
Alan Evans was there.
Aye, that's Alan Evans.
Alan Evans was the assistant manager.
Aye.
And a famous manager. What was his name? Somebody, was it Little?
I'm not sure of that. What I remember though is being a golfer, it was just across the road from the
aye.
What do you call it?
So Wentworth.
The famous golf where they all do their training and what have you.
The Ryder Cup.
Right.
What was his name? What's it called?
It's old men here. I can't get memories.
You're right. And I can mind. It was good. It was good enough because it was nice to select they came. The boys.
Belfry. The Belfry.
The band Gregor. And then I got the interview on the Friday. We were playing Wraith Rovers on the Saturday doing a Start Spark, and when I got interviewed, don't know if you remember, the guy was interviewing me. Well, Jim, you've been down at Pebble Mill at 1 and you released East End songs. Will we get a song for you on Saturday? And that's stupid. I says, well, if we're winning with 2 goals, I'll maybe come out and give you a chant. Worst style in the world. And Winker scored the second goal. 2-0 was mine. And Paul Smith was playing for them and the Rebo, the midfielder. Well, like 2-0. I'm giving it that. Kidding him, I'm singing another Dunfermline butters. There was like the East End, I'm saying that, and the referee, come on. And he booked me. I says, what are you booking me for? Ungentlemanly conduct, you're inciting the fan. I said, I'm singing. I said, was it off key? What is that? I got beat for fucking singing. First time in my life, Gregor. That was a great time. Perfect.
The thing is, like I've said to you before, Jim, on the park was going brilliant, but so was off the park. The club were starting to get a lot of publicity and really get a lot of headlines.
But Gregor played his part in that too. It wasn't just the players. That was probably, I hope Greg doesn't think I'm being big-headed. That was probably one of my 40s, Mikey, yeah. I was a local boy, at time. At the start, Gregor, they had all jobs. And I said, right, I'm going to go this, I'm going to get the punters, I'm going to go to the meetings, so I'll do that. And to be fair to Gregor and the boys, McCarthy and Watson, they set up a committee.
Mm-hmm.
They set up, right, all the players, 4 of us, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, use 4 this week, next week, or whatever, and we're all taking turns. So they weren't going out every night. They were taking their turn to go to the punters' meets. And then the fans, they grew and supporters club. You're saying there 30, I think there was 27, Mike, supporters club. 27.
There was a real togetherness between the club and the supporters at that time, eh?
Yeah.
Like the players got it. Like they were.
But they were Gregor talked earlier on about Dunfermline during the 60s and when Gregor was playing and Dunfermline 69, the European Cup semi-final, he was at the game and all this. And in the early 70s it started, Roy Barry went away and Dave McNichol stopped playing and John Lunn had passed away. All the boys and the senior pros were leaving and Doug Bailey, Wally Carrigan, all these guys, Bertie Payton, Barry Gardner, all the boys that were icons at that time, they'd all left and it was all the young boys coming. And the 73, 74, 75, it was my first game before Gregor came was 674.
We are Flow Digital Pharmacy and we are proud to sponsor the Walking Down the Holbeath Road podcast. Our easy-to-use app is a convenient way to access your NHS prescription medication, and our team of trained pharmacists are helping thousands of people to access the support and medication they need. If you're registered with a GP who's based in England, you can use the Flow app to securely and conveniently send them NHS medication requests and arrange delivery to a location of your choice at a time that suits you. This means you can avoid the hassle of contacting your GP and making unnecessary round trips to eventually collect your prescription. Find out more at We Are Flow, spelled PHLO. That's weareflow.com.
I mean, 4,000 is a bad crowd nowadays, isn't it?
Aye, average
It's
4.5,
all changed
yeah.
now. So, although the results of the last few weeks haven't been too clever.
You guys must have noticed even by 85 though, going from 600, the crowd was starting to come back.
Oh, yeah.
Fans were buying into what was going on at the club.
Yeah, it was really noticeable, for the good atmosphere about things,
I think you wanted to go, eh? I wanted to go on the Saturday because we had to come. We're going to have a game here. But we are up for it, and it was just great to be. I think it's something like that our first full year, Gregor, I think we were averaging 4,500. Mm-hmm. And then we won the second division, and that went up to 6,500, 7,000. Then we got promotion to the Premier League. And we've come down the way. Mind there were 3 going down at that time, Gregor, right? And we finished second. Falkirk finished bottom. We were second bottom. And I can't mind who. Oh, normally we would have stayed up being second bottom, but again, it was a blessing because we got rid of the ones that knew that weren't going to make it and brought her Mark Smith or John Holtz or Beatties and all these boys in.
Aye, it progressed again.
And progressed, but we end up with just under 13,000.
Crazy, yeah.
We were getting, Rangers were bringing a big crowd, but we had a big crowd too. And whereas before,
Going back to 85, 86, an iconic game the fans still speak about, Threave Rovers.
Oh, God, yeah. That was an experience and a half. Now, that was a famous one with Bobby Forrest. We lived in Edinburgh and were to pick him up at Hamilton to go down to Threave Rovers, and he didn't make it. So we go down to Threave, and it was a frosty day, the snow on the ground, and basically they should never have played it. But just about an hour before the kick-off, this Bobby Forrest comes running in. He says, I missed the bus. So I've got a taxi down here. And Jimmy McConville was the secretary. Jimmy, he says, you got money for the taxi? And he says to, how much? He says, £8. He says, £8? No. Jimmy says, £18? No, £80.
Oh, dear me. Stealing me. That's how first myself. And I didn't play him. We didn't play him, eh?
No. But and have you got a ticket for the driver on the taxi? Oh, it was brilliant.
And then when going back, I was in the dressing room doing my TikTok with Greg. The boys had been in it freezing. Freezing. And a wee bit snowflakes now. And it should never have been honest, Greg says, just because of the distance they played it. There's a knock at the door. I'm just saying to the boys, come on, let's get this done, let's get away, and all this pish. And the chairman, the Threave, going, Jim, the fans are called here. What are we coming out and talk to them? We've got a mic, go and talk to the punters.
The team bus became what do you call it? The director's room. Right. They sat in the bus, frozen. And one of the Threave boys, would believe it or not, was wearing golf shoes.
To play.
It was icy. It was icy, snowy. The thing, and he was actually wearing golf shoes rather than football sport.
And I'd heard the story that the only reason the ref played the game is because Dunfermline had such a big travelling support.
Oh, aye. That's right. It would have been a chaos if they had cancelled go.
I don't think Threave had the floodlights that could play midweek.
No,
if you can play the game, and might go home. You've been going home. No. Somebody's put a brick through the window. Eh? Well, cold enough. We're trying to get here, and this brick comes through the window. And the boy flashed me. I come across the road, spun his car, got on the bus. And then, you're right. I thought it was deep. And he got on and got off. What an experience that was.
It was,
and the one that to play a pre-season friendly.
The whole thing was surreal. It was.
Oh, it was a moment. Yeah. What was the score? 5-0?
6, I think.
I couldn't tell you.
Scored 4.
We won promotion that year though. With Pip, Queen of the South, who were really strong that year. Graham Robertson was playing for them. What was it like winning promotion? getting that over the line?
Oh, it's a relief more than anything else. You know, you're built up for it, and then you finally get there, and it's a release, and it's a great feeling, a great feeling.
We were playing Stennismuir, Greg.
Aye.
Stennismuir. And we got delayed 10 minutes for the fans getting in mobbed. Queen of South were playing at Cowdenbeath, mind. And it was half time, it was 9-9 on 1-9 for Queen of the South. So we had to win. And they asked, and we didn't look like scoring. And we're going on a bit nerves now. And then it came through that when we were 10 minutes delayed, it came through that Queen of the South had got beaten for Cowdenbeath 3-1. So that was us champions. They didn't know what the score. So it was brilliant. And Wally Harkness was
I was going to say the chairman there, they were back to Dunfermline.
We went after it.
Aye, they came back to Dunfermline to have I'm going to say celebration, but no, a drink with them. So they came to Cowdenbeath back and stopped Dunfermline.
Because Graham Robertson tells me about that's how he got signed for Dunfermline. You were up the stairs in the Paragon. He was still a Queen of the South player, but you guys had said we're keen to get you.
Aye.
I said to Graham, I'm going to get a phone call this week. But what I remember about that, Nobby Clark was a manager of Queen of the South Paragon. You mind Nobby?
Aye.
Nobby Clark. Good guy, he's a nice guy, a car salesman he was. And I was sitting talking to him. Wally Harkness, the chairman, who was on the SFA board or whatever, he goes up on the mic to congratulate Dunfermline. And he's going, he says, well done, it's the last game of the season, it's unbelievable, the competition jumped great. And just to remember that, I don't know if you remember, I remember that, I was sitting with Nobby. Just to remember the Queen of the South players, that they're only getting a bonus for winning the league. Nothing for being signed. What an achievement it was. Hey?
Well, he was
but imagine seeing that.
I know. And there's a few stories about Harkness, so isn't it? He was a lawyer himself at things, you know.
But I'm saying, imagine you hearing that as a player. Nobody was like that. He resigned.
Right.
Nah, you're not going to be happy.
No, he's resigned. He's got to face the players. Because we're talking about Queen of the South here. Can you mind doing it Dumfries?
Oh.
The fighting. I've got some Dunfermline fans that started fighting with the Queen of the South boys. I came in Jock Fleming and Jimmy Fleming.
Aye, for the
But Buckley,
aye.
The big they called him the bubble, right?
That's right, I remember him.
He's trying to run up the track. And I'm standing outside saying, oh, come on, what's this? I think we were 1-1 now at the time. Anyway, and he come up to Jim, hide me in the dug. He was huge. Hide me in the dug. How can I hide you? Hide me in the dug. That's the way you go. And they all got arrested.
I remember we played, it wasn't that season, we played Queen of the South, the first game of the season, down at Palmerston. And if you go into the dressing room at Palmerston, it was the big bath, and they had a kind of curtain across it, but it came out into the dressing room. But they'd obviously spruced things up for the beginning of the season. It was the first game of the season. So the bath was painted blue and what have you. And I can still remember John Watson sitting in the bath, and he's rubbing himself with soap, rubbing himself down, and he stands up and his genital area is blue. So the boy comes in, he's all right for towels, etc. And John said, yeah, he ducks.
I can mind of that.
That's funny.
It's ginger heat. It's gingers. Blue.
Oh, it was blue.
We won that game, Gregor.
I think so, but it was funny though, isn't it?
How good was John Watson for you?
Oh, it was. Jim will can answer that when his goal scoring basically record speaks for itself, you know. Not the greatest player in the world, but he was a goal scorer and a wholehearted player. So he really did well for Dunfermline and that.
He keeps saying that I gave him £500 for signing, and he said it's 350. Right, because he was dating his fiancée for 150 quid. I'm sure he did it for 150. I keep saying that. Uncle, I gave you. No, you didn't. I was honestly, I told her 350. That's right. No, but some of the goals were really important goals. You go 9 out of 10 every week.
He was Golden Boot winner one season, wasn't it? I think it was maybe that season, actually.
That was they shared a flat with Norrie and Ian McCall. I stayed one night in Edinburgh. I was out and I stayed there with him, and dear, unbelievable. It opened my eyes how the single boys or young boys live nowadays. You know.
But no, he was. That's when we started bringing the rain players in. Eh? When I finished up the first, well, you were there, Greg. We were 37th out of 38, Greg.
Aye, we know you down there. That's right.
37, and I got rid of 11 players. Boys that Pat and Dan had paid money for, eh? Dougie Constantine, 60,000 or 70,000. I got 1,500 quid for him for, was it Bray Margaret a Fleck or something? 1,500 quid. Derek Rodia.
These are names.
Hugh Hamill.
They weren't good enough at the end of the day, you know. That was
No, they were.
it's one thing with managerial experience that I've had and Jim, more so than me, is making the decisions that hurts at the time for the player, but they soon get over it and accept these things that
You've got to have that bit of ruthlessness, to be a successful manager. You can't be soft.
No, that's right. You're absolutely right in that one. You know, you have to be able to make the decisions that are unpopular if that's what you want to do.
I think that was one of my strengths, Gregory.
Aye.
But remember, early on, I signed Derek O'Connor for East Fife, £1,000. I gave East Fife and he got £1,000. We played on the Saturday against Queen's Park, and the next week I said, I'm not going to play. I had to go to the board on Monday league. I made a mistake. At that time, Dunfermline's overdraft was 20 grand. So it was...
Yeah.
And they're looking at you, like young managers. What do you do? Do you keep and put them on the bench or whatever? But no, I says, no, just you've made a mistake. I felt he would have disrupted folk.
So you called it early on.
He was a good guy. But I felt experienced. He's not getting a game. He'll not be happy. And so it was better to say.
You think that's... I had the experience at Falkirk to that one. I wanted Brian McLaughlin, ex-Celtic, coming from Hamilton it was at the time, and they wanted 10 grand for him, you know, and they were going to give... But then what I discovered was there's two directors. We say, I'll give 5 grand and Mr. X will give me another 5 grand. And I'm thinking, that's their money. It's no the club's money they're paying for. That's their own money they're putting into it. And it's quite hard. You have to justify it then, you know. Well, no.
Boy, I wanted to mention there was a big character in the early days, Davy Moyes. What's your memories of Big Moisey?
Well, Davy liked to tackle. A big tackle. He was dour, but oh God, he was a good professional, Davy, wasn't he?
Great.
And a great character. But oh God, hard as nails.
Hardest. Mine was the year we won promotion again. The rivals were Dumbarton. We were playing down at Dumbarton, and it was midweek, and it was raining, drizzle, freezing me. And Davy's in midfield. We Gary Thompson they're playing. I think it was Owen Coyle or Ronnie Coyle, one of the Coyle brothers. Wrapped his ball and I hit Davy right in the face. Can you mind? And Davy's in his teeth, right? His teeth are in the dressing room. And he lifted the ball up and he turned round the buggy, looked at me and Gregor Simpson. And he goes, and he says to me, time to start punching pussies. Everywhere, all the Dumbarton boys went all the ways and he just taking control of it. But he was a good lad, teeth on it.
You like the sing
Saturday night at the movies.
Saturday night.
We don't join in. The dog will join in. We'll make it great. But the dog will... I don't think any... You had never come to me, Greg, and say, hey, get rid of him, he's causing bother.
No, I know, it was never...
No.
Aye.
I don't think so. Like,
No.
Whether you handled that yourself or... but I never saw, or I never heard Greg saying, hey, he's bothered, he's that. No, I'll never make it all the time.
Just a good dressing room, like
Yeah, it was...
close team, eh?
Yeah, it was good.
That proved the next season, 86-87, you get promotion to the Premier League.
Oh, great.
What's your memories of that season?
It was... getting up to that season, that was the one, the last promotion, wasn't it? We got from there, but it was Again, as we say, it's memories are always positive of these things. You didn't think of the bad times, or if there were bad times when you're winning, it's all about that, you know.
We had to go beat Gregor.
Aye, that's what I'm saying.
We had to go beat in that season at him. I
I've
think
got an incident though with Jim. We were doing it at Kilmarnock, and big boy Waddle, John Waddle, he got sent off, and it was the referee Syme who was in charge. And Gregor said to me, he says, "Gregor," he says, "you go in to see the ref, because I'll get sent off again." So I had to wait for him coming in, and I'm saying, "Mr. Syme, can I ask you a question?" "Yes, you can," and he shut the door on me. That was it. But Jim didn't want to get.
No, I'd go. Oh,
he would have got sent off or something like that. You know, I thought it was funny.
I'm guessing by then there was a real belief amongst you guys that because the promotions were starting to happen, you would get to the Premier League.
I think. Yeah, the aim was to go out and get promotion, and it was working for us because we were getting the results. And as Jim says, we only lost about 3-4 games that season, and
amazing.
It was basically.
You get to January, Mikey. The people like Gregor and myself, and people who have been in charge of teams, if you get to January and you've given yourself a chance, if you've given yourself a chance, that's when you say, right, come on, let's either bring some players in or give it a real go. And winning's a great thing, Mike. It's a great thing. Because the players, one, they want to train, two, they want to be there on a Saturday, they've not got the fear, and then the crowds, you go out there, you go to East End, I call it the arena, you go out to the arena, and you hear it, you see it, and
you don't get injuries when you're winning it either, because the players want to play the following week, so they play through things.
Westwater, Robertson, Forrest, McCarthy and Young.
It was a consistent team, eh?
That was it. That was your back five.
That's right.
All legends as well, eh?
Yeah, all boys that played. They all played right up to for the second, right up to they all played for the bottom division to the Premier League.
When I went to Alloa as manager, I took Bobby Robertson with me, and he became my captain at Alloa as well.
Good pro.
Smashing bloke.
Again, he juggled a full-time job with playing football.
I know.
See, going back to that time, this one for you, Gregor, Jim's team talks. Tell us a little bit about some of those.
Well, that's what we're saying. He would start off with saying, "My granny in Lochgelly," and we would get a whole, you know, and the boys would just shake their heads, but they'll look forward to it, and they were enjoyable. A lot of shite, but they were enjoyable. And
they all had a message, Gregor.
They always had a message, that's right. And it got over. Jim was getting over to the players what he was wanting, and they enjoyed it. There's no doubt about it. They enjoyed listening to them. And in fact, you were waiting to see. Wonder what he's going to come up with today, you know.
What about yourself, Jim? Any ones that stand out?
Right, this is me. I've said earlier on, Gregor, he's the coach, assistant manager, coach, he'll do that. I was quite happy what was getting on with that. I was happy with that. Football's basic. The principles are the same every week. You've got to get possession, keep possession, pass to your team, and try and score a goal. But if you say that every week, the players say, "Oh, fuck, no, the same rubbish, same rubbish." And I try to get them to believe in themselves and then show them what they can do. You can do it, that's why you're here, go and get it done. And one of them, I had a dream for Martin Luther King. You made that?
Right, I had a dream.
Hey, we want to do that, Greg. Come on. And then
It was a wet dream.
and then the other one was, I had a dream with Celtic, and the other one was David and Goliath, the Rangers. David and Goliath. Great.
There was one I'd heard during that time. You would quote Andrew Carnegie and Robert the Bruce.
Very good.
Try and try again. He's watching the spider build this web, and then the other one about the women in the care home and a dying wish.
That's true.
Our dying wish was to see Dunfermline win.
To hear Dunfermline. Can you mind that? I both got a cup at East End, and I went up during the day, Mikey. There was a nurse, a care nurse. Jim, this lady, she's the last days of her life, and she's wanting to see you. Would you come up? So I said, "Aye." So I went up, and she's lying in her bed, and she looked bright as a button, her face. Oh, Jim, it's nice to see you. You got a game tonight? I says, I have. We're playing Arbroath tonight. He says, oh, I'd love to hear the roar. I'd love to hear a roar. And let me game that you won before. And she passed away the next night, Mikey, I'm telling you. And I go talk my coffee and what's up saying, and you know, she looked like I've been at a care home here. That's all wifey, that was just like they're looking at me. And I thought they didn't believe me. And I was trying to convince them. I'm telling you, I'll find you so if you didn't get here and perform. And well, listen, the one that kind of been Jimmy Bone was the manager of Arbroath at the time. We won 2-0. Yeah, I went up there to see her. She had passed away.
Not so
That's
good.
true, like that is a genuine story. That's not made up or anything.
That's brilliant.
That was genuine.
What was the biggest highlight, would you say, during that time for the two of you?
I think the promotion itself.
Premier League.
Aye,
First time.
the promotion to get to the Premier League. It was a highlight of that season. It had to be. When
It was
we,
the first time they did it. We're the first guys to take them to the Premier League, mate.
We're still part-time at this point.
Semi.
Aye, that was a problem that Jim and I had with me because there's no way I could go full time because of the 6. So they were going full time, and it had to be. And I accepted it had to get a full time coach. And
I made a mistake there, Greg. I really did, and I apologise right here, live on this. I should have made a position for you. And I tried to get my head right. What can I do? And then. Because that was really hard.
Again, it's important decisions, hard decisions to make, and I accepted it. And again, I was lucky because Alex Smith at Aberdeen phoned me the next day. Could you come up and help us at Aberdeen? And I ended up being eight seasons at Aberdeen. I was looking after the youth at Dundee and Hamilton. During the week, I was doing match reports for them on a Saturday, and one season I was taking the reserves for a season with Willie Miller and the team. So it worked out. The 8 years I had the 8 years I had at Dunfermline at Aberdeen were good, and as far as my own was concerned,
But the promotion, every promotion, Gregor came in 85, 86, 84,
84, 83, 84, yeah.
Aye, that's right, because I just got the job in October 83. And then
I would come in February, I think it was.
It was February, yeah.
And then, so you saw it right for the start, right?
Yeah, the build-up from there. That's right.
So that's why it was good. It hadn't been done before. And in 60s it was done, but a different. Then they'd been so low, and then we went through all the leagues, got relegated, and then went back up again. That was, time I was 35, I'd won 4 promotions with you. It was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's incredible, eh? You mentioned obviously some of the big players we signed during that time. Is there any names, any players that you tried to sign and it didn't quite get over the line?
Aye.
What was a big centre half at Queen's Park that you went on holiday and I went to try and sign?
Smith.
I know, no, there was
Kenny Brannigan.
Kenny Brannigan.
And Ian McCall. That's the 3 we tried to get. Mark Smith went to Celtic, Kenny went to Sheffield, we got Ian McCall.
Jim went on holiday and I had the task of trying to get Kenny Brannigan, and I went to meet him and he didn't turn up, Ian McCall was different. I didn't know how to go. We didn't know how to go through the Queen's Park thing because he was released from Queen's Park, and I ended up phoning his father at Annan Academy. He was an English teacher at Annan, to get Ian's address for us so that Jim could go ahead and make an arrangement with Ian McCall. And Ian was a great signing for them. Absolutely brilliant signing.
Before he went to Rangers, it was great.
And he went to Rangers for a good fee as well, didn't he?
200,000.
Amazing.
He had a lot of skill, Ian, and you worked at him, but he had his own
mindset.
He had his own mindset, you knew that there were some things he was never going to be able to do. But if Ian could just beat his man up and get the crossing, that was him being successful. Because he's a lovely crosser.
Diego.
But invariably took an extra touch, didn't he?
Diego, that was his nickname, and Stevie Morrison was Zico, and
Jim Bowie, what was...
He was Ziggy.
Ziggy, aye.
No, he was Hulk. Winker, John Watson, Winker, of course. Who else?
Snowy.
He was Zico. His free kick, and that's... Never course, I say.
What's your memories of the old East End Park at that point with the the 3 doors, the steps. Obviously, there's no seating back then. It's all terracing.
We used to run up and down the terraces, but in the winter for
No,
the
you did.
training, the boys to go up and down
You
there.
did go on, wasn't you?
No, that's true. But we utilised the terracing at that time as part of the training stamina work, you know.
And was it hard to leave Dunfermline when they went to the Premier League? I know you had a good job in teaching.
It was disappointing at the time, but Jim's right. I had to, the move had to make, and as I said, the fact that Aberdeen came in virtually the next day, it gave me a wee boost from that one, and I enjoyed my time there actually at Aberdeen. They looked after me quite well.
And people still like to see you coming back, Gregor. It's always
Tell you a story though. With my wife there, she was essentially a Rangers supporter, and Wally Miller was manager, and he invited us up. The 2 years up for the last game of the season against Rangers. There was a dance at night with the Centenary Club at Aberdeen, which is unheard of in football. He invited us to sit at have the dining table with the players. So there's a big table with all the players, at Alec McLeish's and all these boys, and Wally Miller and Drew Jarvie and that sitting, and they're playing Rangers that day, and Wally's eating his soup and he's slurping away at his soup, and my wife says, I hope Ali McCoy has his 200 gold today. Wally's soup came spurting at his mouth. Brilliant.
this is fun.
How would you sum up that time at Dunfermline, Gregor?
Basically, it was a roller coaster. You know, things, as Jim said, we started for a low position, and everything just started to multiply from there. And it was really being on a roller coaster. You know, you were getting there. You had your ups and downs, but most of them were up the way.
I agree. For me, it was just a great experience. I was just a young guy. Young boy, and I was different, Mikey. I was a different type. And Gregor's worked with some of the best. And I think Gregor Abel knew what I was trying to do, and knew that I had a belief in the place, the people in the club. I was a right diehard, but I was a lot of happiness, a lot of fun things, a lot of stupidity sometimes, stupid things, and characters. Davy Moyes, John Watson, Hulk. Ian McCall. But they were great. See on the Saturday, see at 5 to 3 they went down the steps. I think they believed that they were, when they went to, they gave it a go. They gave it a go, Gregor.
It was a nice time. There's no doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Jim, how important was Gregor for you?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't do it with people like Gregor. I don't think ever I've said to anybody in any interview that, you know, the tactics, you know, we were 4-4-2. We played 4-4-2. It wasn't complicated about 3-2-1 men have got left, Greg. It was not. We played 4-4-2, Gregor. I can't mind.
Yeah, that's basically.
I think we played up at St Johnstone, 5 at the back. Alec Totten was the manager at St Johnstone at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And Alec said to me after the game, Jim, I can't believe you're coming up here and playing defensive. I says, Alec, we won 1-0. We won 1-0. That's what marched at me. No. We were a 4-4-2. We were good players. Mark Smith did a job, wasn't Ian McCall was far more. If Mark Smith had Ian's talent, skill, a player equally his space.
That's right.
If Ian had Mark's, had 2 winners, and we start off with Jim Bowie. Jim,
he was a good servant to Dunfermline. Absolutely, lovely lad too. Smashing bloke.
You mind that Alamo? I did the Ken Buchanan talk, the boxer.
Oh, right.
Ken Buchanan. It wasn't Ken Buchanan, it was the Irish boy. What's his name? World champion.
Aye, I know who you mean.
The Northern Irish guy.
Aye.
Irish boy. Come on.
McGuigan. Barry McGuigan.
I was watching the fight the night before, and he was fighting for the world championship. And this boy was batting the head in it, but this boy kept coming back. And McGinn was batting him again until, and then they finally won. I says, that's what we've got to do. And I'm batting. Right, get the boy, Jimmy, you go. And about 20 minutes ago, Gaffer, I'm knackered. Shut up, give him the ball. We took him off with 10 minutes ago, but it was his best game ever, I saw. And we hammered Alva that day at Alva. But Lee Ziggy was great crosser ball.
I was going to say, he was a lovely crosser ball.
He became a fan.
Aye. And then he went into, latterly, he was a classroom assistant
Right.
which is really in a primary school, which I thought was brilliant.
I love that.
Superb.
But
He's retired now, though. He's retired no long ago.
it was the nearest to Allocated was for crossing the ball. That's all. The two best wingers, Chimberry. Different levels, but he could cross the ball as good as Allocated.
Brilliant. What a legend again. So you leave Dunfermline, Gregor. You moved to Forfar for a wee 4 months spell. What was that like?
Wee Henry Hall, I forgot about that actually. It was wee Henry Hall at. I worked with Henry at Falkirk High when I was a teacher. Henry and I were both in the same department, so I knew Henry quite well. I'd been on holiday, and he asked me to come up and help him up at Forfar, and it was great. Coming back, just being involved, like the big Brewster and they were players at Forfar at the time. Craig Brewster, lovely big lad. I got that wrong with Aberdeen there. I was actually from Forfar. I got the job at Alloa.
Yeah.
And then it was when I was released at Alloa that I went to Aberdeen. That was I got my timing wrong. It's age.
Well, 87 to 90, you're 100 games spell at Alloa, winning promotion.
Yeah.
And you took Bobby Robertson, as you said. So what was your time like at Alloa?
It was great because, as you can sitting in the house here, it's only half a mile for the ground. The whole thing, I was a local, I was teaching local and involved in the basically the whole community. But getting again the same feeling as being at Dunfermline, getting the promotion and getting up into the fortunate thing was there were 3 leagues at that time, so we went up into the 2nd division. And the majority of the teams were full-time. There was only 2 teams, I think, part-time. And that was, come February, that's always going to be a problem in the winter months. And we struggled latterly at the end there. And like all good managers, they wanted a change at that time. So I got released, and that was when Alex Smith phoned me at Aberdeen to come up there, you know.
So what was your 8 years at Aberdeen like then?
Well, as I was saying, it was lovely because you're dealing with the young players. I got Darren Young. He was one of my young lads. He was at Dunfermline. Him and Derek.
And his brother, yeah.
Young. They were part of my squad at that time up there. And as I say, Charlie Adams trained up there with him before he went to Rangers. A whole lot of them. But it was good. I had one season where I was looking after the reserves, and I had Wally Miller playing in the reserve, which is quite daunting. I'd try to give him a roasting because he would protect it. Wally just wanted to protect himself. And the players, the young players, the Scott Booths and what have you, they were all part of that. Ian Jess, they were all part of it. They were all in the reserves at that time, so it was good, you know.
Strong players at that time, eh?
Christ, aye, they were good. But it was a good experience. Teddy Scott, who's a legend up there, the kit he would be phoning me up every couple of weeks. You needing a jacket, you needing boots, you needing what you needing, you know. And because I was only up there, the reason I was doing the reserves, and I was the man in the south, so I would go and do the reports. Rather than send somebody down for Aberdeen, I was down here already, so it was easy for them.
I was going to say, how did you cope with that? The commuting to Aberdeen, you still got your full-time job.
I didn't have to go up to Aberdeen very often.
Aye.
First there was Dundee, and then Parks at Hamilton. So it was good because all the games that I was having to do reports on were done this way, you know.
Yeah, I'm right. You then had 5 years at Rangers.
Yes, aye.
So what was your job at Rangers?
Basically the same. I was with the young boys at Rangers, and I would do match reports on a Saturday. So if Rangers were playing Celtic, I would go to watch Celtic. There's a funny instance there because they gave me I've got one there, the Nike coat, you know, as far as and I'm going into Parkhead to get tickets to watch the game, and there's this queue for the queuing up, and I goes in, tickets for Gregor Abel Rangers Football Club. What are you whispering for? That's a shame. Well, it's surrounded by the Celtic supporters, you see. What are you whispering for? Was what I got. Which was great. And I got now and again, I would get my green pea soup at half time or whatever, you know. which is quite nice for that.
How come you decided to walk away from football?
Basically because of the amount of time that was taken up, and my family, I wasn't been able to. My daughter was heavily involved in youth theatre, etc., and my wife was having to run and her dancing. So basically, it got to a time where I just decided, from family reasons, it was easier not to be there than be there.
Did you miss it? Do you still miss it?
No. I missed I tell you what I missed latterly was the dressing room banter, being able to there. But no, I still get involved with. I go and watch Dunfermline's home games and listen to my song getting played, and that was a plug, eh? And then
Might get a royalty after that.
I will maybe. And then the Falkirk, I go to their home games. And there's a Falkirk former players club, and that involvement is quite nice because I can criticise and be negative or positive as it, but just still involved. In fact, I'm at Falkirk this week. I'm doing a Q&A against the Hamilton game. Alec Totten and I we're doing a Q&A this Saturday. Yeah.
I might be able to bring Jim back in at this point. What would you say was your biggest strength as a coach?
I'm not sure really, but it's hard to justify that. I try to make my training sessions as varied as I can, and I think I did a preparation. I didn't go in blind. I always had prepared myself for what we're going to be doing that night, sort of thing. And yeah, that would be more just organisation, maybe.
Yeah. What would you say, Jim? What would you say Gregor's biggest strength was as a coach?
Well, he could coach. That's his biggest strength. That's what he did. And he could coach. And I didn't worry about it. Like I knew they were in safe hands. I've never heard anybody say, "No, after the coaching rubbish," or it's boring or something.
Your relationship with players as well was a strong point.
Well, to a certain extent, I'm the coach is often I'm not going to say the nucleus, but the go between the manager and the players. If the players are unhappy with some things, you can go to the manager and let them notify it, and vice versa. It can work the other way, and I think it's a two-way thing. And I think the coach being in the dressing room more often is more can sense things are happening.
Aye.
We used to run things past it.
Aye.
What do you think?
Yeah.
And then
But there'd be certain things players would come to you with, you would keep away from the manager to save you dealing with the hassle.
Yeah.
Hey, as an assistant. I've heard that a few times for other guys.
That's
It's
right.
number
yeah.
two.
That sums it up quite well, It's a two-way thing. Some things work, and the
you've got to
manager.
get on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You've got to have the same beliefs. You've got to have the same
Similar mindset,
vision.
yeah.
You've got to have the same vision. We can do this, Gregor. If we do our bit, we can get them there.
Yeah.
I always believe that.
Again, one for both of you. What's your thoughts on football and coaching today and the overcomplication of systems? And
I laugh at things where I'm saying he's not a number 9, he's a number 10. And I'm like, what the hell is all that about? But maybe that's just me. It can be too cut, but players. There's more science going into training nowadays with the coaching, the dietary regimes, etc. So from that point of view, there's probably more professionalism just now. But for young kids, I think it's a disaster just now. The amount of money parents are having to pay for transporting kids about to hire of all-weather surfaces, etc. I was down at Clipmannon Public Park the other week there. It used to be the park of Clipmannon Juniors. And when I was younger, and Jim would be the same, the goalmouths in any of these public parks were absolutely bare of grass and mud right down the middle and a big... Down there, it's perfect. The grass, the goals are up, and the grass is still there. And that's because kids didn't go out at night and do their own thing.
Right.
That's different to the game for me.
what's your thoughts on all this, that players are signed purely on data and analytics, and the days of going to actually watch a player are kind of fading away now, because they rely on the computer systems and
It's way beyond me, Mike. Actually, no, it's the flair going out of some of them. It's basically some of these young blues, they haven't got the flair that the Jimmy Bows or the Ian Falls and that have. They haven't got that kind of flair.
It's see when you get all this video analysis, Mikey, right? If you're talking, Gregor, we always saw The first time I was there. The second time, Bartosz, what's his name?
Tarachulski.
I was desperate for a striker, and I got a video, and I said, well, this boy's all right. He's got good movements, good in the air. Stupidly, I signed him because I thought he'd be all right. Instead of going and seeing him in a match game, a real game, an agent never sends you a bad video.
No, of course.
And that is the mistake. You never get a bad video. And that was the only time I signed somebody. And it didn't work. A good guy, a nice man, he never caused a problem.
Signed with it, seeing
Seen him.
Yeah. See, if you guys were a manager of the day and you could sign any player in the world, who would you sign?
You go first, Craig.
Well, you immediately are drawn towards the likes of the Messis at their peak and stuff like that, you know. And but of the modern game, the boys that are playing, you know, a player that I really have a lot of time for is
Declan Rice.
In the modern game, he has everything. You know, he's got physique, he's got stamina, and he's tremendous passing ability and skill. There you go. I'm maybe easy pleased.
Good player. What about yourself, Jim?
It's Pete Harry Kane. She's a goal scorer.
Oh, aye.
He scores goals.
It's better than John Watson.
What? Harry scores some poor goals, and John
Good
did.
player, aye.
Some of the best goals I saw at East End were scored by John Watson. No, he's a finisher, eh?
Aye.
And he also is a team player. And so was John. John was a team player.
Here's one for both of you again. Best item of memorabilia you've got from your career in football? If you could pick one thing.
I was showing you this morning, I've got 4 league medals that I've got through there that's sitting in there. They're special. You can't take that away. They're special.
I thought it'd be your EastEnders record.
But the problem is now you can't play it on a normal record player now. You know, you have to go through YouTube and that to get it.
Is that right? You can't play it on a vinyl?
Oh, you need a vinyl player, don't you? Most people don't have a record player these days. You do.
Nah, I've not got.
You do?
We'll have one that's never been used for 20 years. You know, you've got your medals for promotion as well, Jim. I mean, they're special. Apart from the fact that they're a couple of £100 each.
You're always quite surprised how small they are, when you see winners' medals, Scottish Cup medals.
The actual second division, because we won it was the second division one, the Premier of the first division. The second division one is far better than the first division one. I mean, I say that's the first division guy. You know it's a Spring Cup or something.
Well, that was the Spring Cup when it was 1 year that they only used it. They only played that for 1 year. It was when the time where the leagues were getting reformed. There was a cup tie to give them extra games at the end of the season.
What year was that going?
The 19. I would need to look at the medal to see it there.
70s.
It's about 76 or 75, 76.
I think to get the second division champ was great.
Well, that got it all going, didn't it, for you guys?
The year before, and then that year, got it going, and then getting promotion next year, runners up. They won in the first division for the first time. It was great. But I think, really, the CIS Cup final medal against Celtic, I'm a Dunfermline fan, and to lead Dunfermline now and be the only supporter that took the Dunfermline to the cup final.
That would be special for you, yeah.
I struggle to beat that one, Jim.
Although it was running up there, we didn't have a shot at goal. Friday that one, the pass back.
It was a difficult cup final, that one.
Oh, it was difficult. But as I say, no Hunt got injured. Darren Young broke his stake. Greg was mentioning Young Darren there. But he scored the semi-final.
Against Livingston,
Livingston. So that's 3 of your best players.
Aye.
A small squad. We didn't. Really, that's probably one time I walked in that tunnel saying, I hope they didn't score, I hope we didn't embarrass ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had Roy Keane, Dion Dublin, and fuck's sake, I'm serious. Oh, Mum.
Last question, Gregor. How would you sum up your career in football?
Enjoyable. I've made a lot of friends in football, and coupled with the education where I was involved in, I've got 2 different teams, 2 different groups, and it's great to be with the football world completely divorced from the education world and how you react. And Jim will be the same as far as his football and being a counsellor or whatever. But having the 2 of them and being able to work one against the other is great, you know.
Remember to subscribe to Walking Down the Holbeath Road on your favourite podcast platform. Producer of this podcast was Jan Motkiewicz, and music supplied by Stuart Dusty Miller. Thank you for listening, and as always we look forward to walking down the Holbeath Road with another former par next month. Thank you.